Hello everyone, myself Brunda. I am studying at Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering. Let me discuss today about program testing, condition testing. Let me look over about contents. In program testing, let me look over about the introduction, types, techniques, process, importance. And in condition testing, let me look over about the introduction, elements, how it works and advantages. Let me begin with the introduction. Program testing, also known as software testing, is a crucial aspect of the software development lifecycle. It involves evaluating a software application to ensure that it meets specified requirements and functions correctly. The primary goal of testing is to identify defects or bugs in the software so that they can be fixed before the product is released to the end users. Types. There are unit testing, integration testing, system testing, acceptance testing, and regression testing. Let me look over about the unit testing. This type of testing focuses on testing individual units or components of the software in isolation. It is usually performed by developers during the development phase. Integration testing. Integration testing involves testing how well different units or components of the software work together when integrated. It verifies that interactions between various components do not introduce errors. System testing. System testing evaluates the behavior of the entire software system as a whole. It tests the system against its function and non-functional requirements to ensure that it meets the specified criteria. Acceptance testing. Acceptance testing is conducted to determine whether the software meets the acceptance criteria and requirements of the stakeholders. It is typically the final phase of the testing before the software is deployed to production. Regression testing. Regression testing is performed to ensure that recent changes or updates to the software do not adversely affect existing functionality. It involves rerunning previously executed test cases to validate that no new defects have been introduced. Let me look over about the techniques: black box testing, white box testing, gray box testing, equivalence, partitioning, boundary value analysis. Black box testing. In black box testing, the tester examines the software's functionality without knowing its internal code structure. Test cases are designed based on the specifications, requirements, and expected outputs. This technique focuses on validating the software's behavior against its functional requirements. White box testing. White box testing, also known as glass box or structural testing, involves examining the internal logic and structure of the software's code. Test cases are designed based on the code structure, paths, and conditions to ensure all statements, branches, and paths are tested thoroughly. This technique is useful for uncovering errors in the code logic. Let me look over about the gray box testing. Gray box testing combines the elements of both black box and white box testing. The gray box testing, which consists with both the black box and the white box, testers have partial knowledge of the internal code structure, allowing them to design test cases based on both functional specifications and code structure. It depends upon the specification and the code structure. Gray box testing provides a balance between the perspectives of an insider white box and an outsider black box. It consists with the perspectives of both the black box and the white box testing. Let me look over about the equivalence partitioning. Equivalence partitioning involves dividing input data into partitions or equivalence classes based on the similar characteristics or the behavior, where the data will be divided based on the characteristics. Test cases are then designed to represent each partition, ensuring that testing is thorough and efficient. This technique helps reduce redundancy in test cases while providing maximum coverage. Equivalence partitioning, which provides the redundancy by providing maximum coverage. BVA is also known as boundary value analysis. Boundary value analysis focuses on testing the boundaries or edges cases of input ranges. Test cases are designed to evaluate the software's behavior of the boundaries of valid and invalid inputs, which can be check the boundary for both input of valid or the invalid. BVA helps uncover error related to boundary conditions which are often susceptible to detects. Let me look over about the process in test planning. We have the objective definition, test strategy development, and test plan creation. Objective definition clearly defines the goals and objectives of testing, identifies the scope of testing, include the features and functionalities to be tested. Test strategy development, develop a test strategy outlining the overall approach, resources, timelines, and methodologies to be used in testing. Test plan creation, create a detailed test plan specifying the test objectives, test deliverables, test environments, entry and exit criteria, and the risk management. These are all comes under the test planning. Let me look over about the test case design. Requirements analysis. Analyze the software requirement to understand the expected behavior and functionality. First, we need to check over the requirements for the functionality and behavior. Next, the test scenario identification. Identify various scenarios that need to be tested to cover the different aspects of the software. Test case creation. Develop detailed test cases based on the test scenarios, including input data, expected outcomes, and steps to execute the test. Finally, look over about the test environment setup and the test execution. In the test environment setup, we look over about the infrastructure setup, configure the necessary hardware, software, tools, and test environments required for executing the test. Test data preparation. Prepare test data sets that represent real-world scenarios and cover various input combinations. Test execution. Test execution. Execute the test cases according to the test plan in the designated test environments. Defect reporting. Log any defects or issues encountered during test execution in a defect tracking system. Include detailed information about the defect, such as steps to reproduce, severity, and priority. Let me look over about the importance. Testing is crucial for ensuring the quality, reliability, and security of software product. Why we need to test? We need to get the reliability test, provide the security also. It helps to identify and fix defects early in the development process, reducing the risk of costly errors and customer dissatisfaction. We can encounter the errors and we can fix it in the early stage itself. Next, we look over about the condition testing. In that, we look over about the introduction part. Condition testing is a test case design method which ensures that the logical condition and decision statements are free from errors. The errors present in logical condition can be incorrect Boolean operators, missing parentheses in a Boolean expression, error in relational operators, arithmetic expression, and so on. The common type of logical conditions that are tested using condition testing are a relational expression like even operand E2, where E1 and E2 are the arithmetic expression and OP is the operator, where E1 and the E2 represented as the arithmetic expressions, and OP, where E1 and E2 are used with OP, is represented with operator. A simple condition like any relational expression preceded by a not operator. For example, E1 was preceded with a not operator. A compound condition consists of two or more simple condition, Boolean operator, and parenthesis. Example, E1 and E2, E2 and E3, where E1, E2, E3 denote the arithmetic expression and the symbol and or operators are were used. A Boolean expression consists of operands and a Boolean operator like and or not. For example, A and B are the denoted as operands and the symbol we used as operator or. Let me look over about the elements. Type of element in the condition includes are Boolean operator, Boolean variable, Boolean parenthesis, and relational operator. If condition is incorrect, then at least one component of the condition is incorrect. If the given condition is not correct, one condition will be failed. Let me look over how it works. Identify conditions. First, you need to identify the conditions or decision points within the code. Firstly, we need to identify conditions part. These are typically represented if statement, switch statements, loops with conditions, etc. Where the conditions after the decision points, it represents with if or else the switch condition or the loops, while, etc. Generate test cases. Once you have identified the conditions, you need to create test cases that cover all possible outcome of each condition. This includes testing the true and false branches of each condition. After when we identifying the conditions of the decision points, we need to generate the test cases which defines the true or false. Next, we need to execute the test cases. Execute the test cases against the code. After finally when we generated the test cases, we need to start to execute the test cases. Each test case should evaluate whether the condition being tested behaves as expected. We need to check as it will be work correct or not. Analyze the result. Analyze the result of the test cases. If the test case fails, it indicates a potential issue with the condition being tested. If any one of the test condition is been failed, we need to recheck the code again. Iterate and improve. If issues are found, developers may need to revise the code to fix bugs or improve the logic. Additional test cases may also be needed to ensure adequate coverage. Once we get the issue, we need to re-alter the code or we need to change additional settings. Finally, we look over about the advantages part. First and foremost, it ensures thorough testing of logic by examining all possible paths within condition testing, thereby uncovering any potential error or inconsistency in the code. When we use the testing phase, which will help to check the errors in the code or the inconsistency in the code. This comprehensive approach also leads to increased code coverage as condition testing explores various conditions and the outcomes, resulting in more extensive testing of the code base. By detecting bugs related to conditional statement early in the development cycle, condition testing contribute to improved code quality and stability. Once we check the code earlier phase, we can detect the errors, which will help in the development. In the developing cycle only, we can find the errors, which we can re-alter the code and we can improve the code quality and stability, and we can get the security even also, and we can redevelop the code of our own. Additionally, this testing technique also allows for creation of targeted test cases, enhancing the effectiveness of test suite in identifying defects specific to decision points. When we got any decision point in the error, we can check it and we can rectify it in the condition. Condition testing validates the implementation of business rule, ensuring that the software behaves as intended across different scenarios. By mitigating risks associated with incorrect decision making and promoting compliance with regulatory requirement, condition testing ultimately facilitate the delivery of reliable and high quality software solutions. Where the condition testing help in the development of the software with high quality code and the conditions with the delivery of the reliable code. Thank you.